The Boston Celtics are one of the biggest underachievers in the NBA this season. In last year's playoffs, they were 2 wins away from the NBA Finals. This year, they're the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. They're currently coming off 2 brutal back-to-back losses to the Utah Jazz and the lowly Cleveland Cavaliers. The Celtics are a very talented team with 2 studs in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, but despite the all-star play of those guys, the Celtics are mediocre. So what's wrong with the Boston Celtics? We're going to talk about the 4 main issues with the team in this video and discuss how the Celtics can possibly address them. But before we continue, please like the video and subscribe as it really helps my channel grow. Now let's get started. The Celtics have many issues with their team right now, but perhaps their biggest one has been Kemba Walker. When the Celtics signed Kemba, it was seen as a good pickup, and in the first year of his contract, it definitely was. Last season, Kemba averaged 20 points and 5 assists per game, and he was a huge part of the Celtics getting to the conference finals. This year, Kemba has fallen off a cliff. He's only played in 23 out of Boston's 40 games, and he's averaging 18 points and 4 assists per game on a horrible 39% shooting. The Celtics knew that Kemba would possibly be in decline this year as he was coming off major knee surgery. This is why Danny Ainge reportedly tried like hell to trade Kemba last offseason. This isn't to say that Kemba Walker is completely trash. He's had plenty of all-star performances, and he does make the Celtics better when he plays well. In fact, the Celtics are 7-2 when Kemba scores over 20 points in a game. The problem is that Kemba has been inconsistent. He'll score 28 points on efficient shooting one night and follow it up with 11 points on poor shooting the next night. For a team that doesn't have a lot of shot creators, Kemba's inconsistencies are a detriment to the team. Kemba has been really struggling to drive and finish at the rim, and he's been struggling to make his shots. So far this season, he looks like a completely different player from last year. To be fair, Kemba is coming off major knee surgery, so he still could need some time to find his rhythm. But at the same time, Kemba Walker is now 30 years old, and he could be on the downswing of his career. If the issue is the latter, then that's really bad news for Boston because Kemba is making over $34 million a year for the next 3 seasons, which is about 1/3 of the salary cap. I'm not trying to trash Kemba here, but it's undoubtable that his shooting woes have played a huge role in the Celtics' struggles. Tatum and Brown have been phenomenal this year, but they need help on offense, and unfortunately, Kemba has not been consistent this year. And because he makes so much, there won't be much cap space for the Celtics going forward to add significant pieces in the offseason. The Celtics desperately need Kemba to return to all-star form if they want to be one of the top teams in the East again. The second main issue with this Celtics team is their lack of depth. The Celtics simply don't have enough guys that could create offense at a high level. Outside of Tatum, Brown, Kemba, and Smart, the Celtics don't have anyone averaging over 10 points per game, and Smart has only played in about 23 games this year. The Celtics get very little from their second unit, as they only rank 26 in bench points per game. When one of Tatum or Brown are not in the game, the Celtics end up getting crushed by their opponents because of their lack of options on offense. Peyton Pritchard has been a draft steal for the Celtics, but he doesn't provide enough on the offensive end. Jeff Teague, who the Celtics thought would be a good pickup, looks like a shell of himself. And the Celtics have other young guys like Carson Edwards, Grant Williams, and Aaron Nesmith that simply aren't very good rotation players right now, which is why the Celtics bench is so horrible. The Celtics could desperately use some consistent scoring outside their dynamic duo of Tatum and Brown, and with the little depth on their roster, that simply is a luxury that they don't have. And unfortunately, a lot of the guys who the Celtics do rely on to step up haven't been there due to injury, which brings us to our next main issue, injuries. Nagging injuries and COVID have caused plenty of teams in the league this year to underachieve, and the Celtics are no different. We already talked about how Kemba has missed time. Marcus Smart has also missed a bunch of time this year due to a calf strain, which has been a massive loss for Boston. Smart averages about 13 points and 5 assists per game, so he's a valuable member of Boston's rotation. He gives the Celtics an additional scorer and playmaker, and of course, he's consistently one of the top defenders in the league. Smart's absence has been huge. Jason Tatum also missed 5 games this year due to COVID protocols. Missing 5 games isn't too bad, but when you're a team with as little depth as Boston has, you don't have much room for error, so missing key rotation guys, even just a little bit, really hurts. The final problem we're going to talk about with this Celtics team is their poor defense. The Celtics ranked 23rd in defensive efficiency this year, which is pretty bad, especially for a Brad Stevens coach team. Brad Stevens teams usually rank near the top of the league in defense. Just last year, Boston was 4th in defensive efficiency. The year before, they ranked 6th. But this season, the effort just simply hasn't been there. Daniel Tice is a solid defensive big man, but Tristan Thompson and Robert Williams have been pretty poor rim protectors. The perimeter defense is just as bad as the paint defense. The Celtics give up a ton of dribble penetration each game, and they've been getting lit up from downtown. The Celtics simply don't hustle and close out with the same effort as they've done in the past. I think this is an area where not having Smart really hurts. Smart has missed 17 games this year, and he's the heart and soul of the team. Not only is he a great isolation defender, but he also brings hustle, constantly diving for loose balls and getting deflections. He's also a leader that will hold his teammates accountable, so not having Smart for an extended period of time has definitely hurt Boston's defense. Overall, the Celtics have been one of the bottom defensive teams this year, and that's one of the biggest reasons why their record currently sits at 500. So there you have it, sports fans. Those are the 4 main reasons why the Celtics are struggling. Fortunately for Boston, they will have a chance to upgrade the roster with a trade before the season ends. They do have a $28 million trade exception, which will be useful in helping them to acquire a player. The Celtics have been tied to several names, including guys like John Collins and Harrison Barnes. The Celtics have so many issues that I'm not sure one addition can solve them all, but a move can make Boston a much better team. The Celtics may need to wait for the offseason to radically change the roster though. But anyway, I want to hear what you guys think. What should Boston do to become a top team in the East again? Who should they trade for? Tell me in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe, and enjoy the rest of your day.